Good morning, everyone. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming along. I'm here today because I knew you would have questions with respect to changes announced in yesterday's budget, and I hope I can provide some clarity wherever possible. There may also be questions which I cannot provide specific answers to right now, but will be able to in the coming weeks. First, I want to say that when you look at the big picture, yesterday's budget was very good news for education. Education has not taken a second seat, and I am very pleased as Minister as to what came out of this budget for education. We have over $840 million in our budget, down just 3% from last year. That's down by $26 million. That's an indication of the importance this Premier and this government places on our children, their education, and our collective future. When we first looked at what we had to address in the deficit, we started with the premise that student learning would not be compromised and there would be no reductions to regular classroom teachers delivering the required curriculum. And I will tell you, when we started talking about class caps, and Minister Kennedy was at the table at the same time, the Premier was very adamant that caps were going to be one place that we didn't touch. There are also no reductions to special education or supports for students with special needs, as the NDP has mistakenly spread through the social media. There is no cut to special education supports for students with special needs. We looked at ourselves first at the department level and took over $6 million from our budget. That has been and continues to be a very difficult process for the individuals involved and for their colleagues. There's no getting around that. And I want people to know that I truly do recognize how hard it's been. As a matter of fact, I ran into somebody on the elevator and I said to them, "How are you doing?" And they mentioned to me that, you know, they were one of the people affected. And I passed my sincere concern for them, and I wish them the best. So then, after looking at our own department, we then had to look at the school board administrative structures we had in place to support education throughout the province. The reality is that enrollment has declined by 14,000 students, or 17%, since the last consolidation of school boards in 2004. Even if there had never been a deficit to address it, it would have been time for us to re-examine these organizations. So it only made sense to look at the school board operation and administrative structures in place and say, what is it that we need given this new reality? The bottom line is that we recognize that changes are needed so that we can continue to invest available funding where it belongs, and that being in schools, in the classrooms, for the benefit of the students. Throughout this entire budget process, we kept going back to the importance of education to this government. When it came down to it, we realized that 2 school boards, one English and one Francophone, can serve our needs, provided we maintain a strong presence at offices in Central, Western, and Labrador regions, and we intend to do that. I really want to focus on that particular point. There will be strong presences in these satellite offices, in these regional offices. Those offices will remain open and appropriately staffed with executive management and other staff, including educational staff, to provide necessary supports to schools, teachers, and students. But we had to ask ourselves if we really needed to duplicate senior executive and management staff at 4 English language boards. And with our student enrollment declining, frankly, the answer was no. We also asked ourselves if we needed to maintain an additional 7 satellite offices in various locations when staff could be accommodated in area schools where capacity existed. And the answer was no. But I want to be very clear on this point. While there will be some reduction in board staffing and the satellite office buildings will close, the services provided to teachers and students will continue. The buildings will close, not the services. In fact, satellite office staff members already operate out of a school in the Stephenville area. So there's already a model for delivery of service in this manner. I want to be clear on another point. While there are some reductions in professional administrative staff at the board level, support for school-based, secretarial, janitorial, and maintenance hours has not been reduced. When we were reviewing, we were reviewing and looking at it, you know, we felt very strongly about not touching these positions. Anybody who's been in the school system will know, and I say this lightly, that the secretary is probably one of the most important people in the building. Therefore, again, with the focus on students and classrooms and schools, secretaries and janitorial services were protected. These are big changes, and we have a lot of work to do in the coming weeks and months. I certainly recognize the anxiety that exists with some people around these changes, and I ask that people will work with us, and we will see our way through this. With a $537 million investment in teacher salaries and supports for teachers, or 64% of the entire education budget, we still have the best pupil-teacher ratio of any province in Canada. And I want to reiterate that, the best student-teacher ratio of any province in Canada. There will be no reduction in the allocation of regular classroom teachers assigned to deliver the required curriculum as a result of this budgetary process. There will be no reduction in direct services or supports for students with special needs. There will be more than 5,400 teaching positions allocated to the education system in September 2013. And with about 550 teachers eligible to retire this year, we are not expecting any teacher job losses. Capped class sizes for the required curriculum in grade K to 9 continues. We have not touched class caps. Our systematic approach to improving school infrastructure continues. $102 million in new and ongoing projects this year, more than $620 million since 2004. To support families, the elimination of standard school fees continues, with $50 million invested since 2006. The provision of free textbooks to all K-12 public school students continues, with $20 million spent on that initiative since 2007. And we continue to invest in new curriculum, new technologies, music, theater, visual arts programming, and skilled trades programming designed to meet the needs of our students in the 21st century. A lot of these programs and initiatives didn't exist prior to 2004. We initiated them. We are maintaining them. There were a lot of things we could have done if this was just a simple exercise in cutting spending. We could have removed the K-9 class size cap we implemented over the past several years. I spoke to Ms. Lily Cole, the president of NLTA, and they thought if we were going to realize savings, it was caps that we were going to have to go at, because 64% of our entire budget is aimed at teachers and salaries. Therefore, they felt that's where we were going to go, but we maintained that cap class cap size. We could have reduced support for school-based secretarial, janitorial, and maintenance services, and we said no. We could have canceled or delayed major school construction projects designed to replace aging infrastructure or address overcrowding in urban areas, and we said no. We said no to anything we felt would negatively impact direct services to the students. And we took a hard look at ourselves and the administrative organizations around school boards and said that there are things that we can do just in a different way to provide required services. First and foremost, we had to face some realities. We could not expect to maintain the same level or increased levels of department and school board personnel and infrastructure while student enrollment continued to decline. We will, however, make sure there is that strong regional presence at former school board headquarters and board staff located in schools throughout the province. I want to be very clear on that this is not a St. John's board that we're looking at. This is a provincial school board. Our government has worked very hard to keep every available educational dollar focused on student learning, achievement, and safety. And I truly do believe we have done that. Our next steps are to put in place a transition team, advertise for a CEO, and begin the process of streamlining school board operations, with the overall goal being to put all available funding for education into supporting programming and learning opportunities for students in our schools and in our classrooms. That's the bottom line. So we open the...
No, I'll have a couple of words, Minister. Thank you very much, Minister Jackman. And first I'd like to say thank you to Minister Jackman for standing so strong in the last couple of months in support of education and the need to continue our investment in education. This has been a tough budget process, and the Premier especially was adamant that we would maintain our delivery of services in our education system. It's one of our highest priorities, and as we said about this budget process, healthcare and education were the two top priorities. This is what the people of the province said to us in terms of being the priorities, and we've heard and listened to them. The merger of the school boards is part of the process that the government has been engaged in over the last couple of months, and we've reviewed programs and services to look at ways to create efficiencies and to ensure they're being delivered in the most effective and efficient way. What Budget 2013 does is it reflects our government's commitment to education, and that continuing commitment, while also recognizing that sound fiscal management required that we take certain steps. We've also finished, or in the midst of year one of the provincial government's long-term sustainability plan, with year one being the deficit reduction process. The 10-year sustainability plan is titled Securing the Future. And securing the future in our province means maintaining that unerring commitment to education. So the plan will build and will continue to build on the progress that we've made since 2003. And if you look at the list of schools that we've built in this province, and it's absolutely amazing. If you look at the money that's gone into maintenance, it's amazing also. So we're going to try, as we move forward, to maintain, we will maintain that commitment to education, and we're going to strive towards the net debt per capita goal over 10 years. We have to reduce debt. Debt is costing us $800 million a year right now, and if you look in the sustainability plan, you will see the chart in terms of debt costs and what we've paid. Even though we're paying a lot less than we did in the past, it still costs a lot of money. $800 million a year builds a lot of schools and other facilities that we need. So we're looking at the how best to achieve these efficiencies. In year two of the sustainability plan, we will be looking at a review of Memorial to ensure that there's and Kona, ensure that there's efficient and cost delivery effective of service, while still maintaining that commitment to the students. And also there will be an operational review conducted at the regional health authorities that will focus on issues such as sick leave, overtime, and other ways that we can potentially save money. So this plan outlines our commitment. Year 3, we will return to surplus, and then years 4 to 10, continue to diversify the economy, encourage and facilitate growth in the economy, and move towards our debt reduction. So my purpose here today is to stress that even though we have a long-term plan in place, we never lose sight of the immediate as it comes to education, and the need to ensure that we maintain that high level of education that that we provide to the people of this province. So again, thank you to Mr. Jackman and the Premier for standing so strong as we went through this process.